Welcome back and thank you for opening my video. It's a beautiful day today. It's a little hot, but it is an awesome day. We're here. So I'm here with us again because I want to talk to us about assimilation into the public school system, assimilation into the American public school system. Okay? And as an educator for over 20 years, I've seen the disadvantages of our children coming from the islands or coming from the Caribbean, and how hard it is for them to assimilate. These children come in, they're bright children, but they struggle with so many different pieces of what they need to be successful in the American public school system. So I had a conversation with my aunt, and she agreed that this is a great topic to really talk to the children or talk to parents who are migrating to this big American country. It's so different from where they are. And so some of the struggles they undergo. First of all, let me talk about their culture, our culture. When we come to America, it is important that we get to know their culture. We cannot come in and think that, well, I'm coming to this new place and everyone is going to change their way of doing things to accommodate me. We have to understand that we're coming to somebody else's culture. We have to adapt, or we have to learn how to assimilate into their culture. In doing so, do not forget your culture. You will have times when at home with your parents, you cook the meals that you would cook in the islands. You will dress how you're comfortable. And you speak your social language. Patois is our Jamaican social language, and Patois is fine when you are with your family members or your close friends. But when you get into the school system, you cannot think that when you talk Patois, anyone there will understand you. Luckily, sometimes you will find teachers who are from the Caribbean and will understand you, but it's not going to be very often. And so as we come to this new culture, we have to keep those things in mind, that I will have to make changes to assimilate into this new culture, but at the same time, understand that your culture is who you are. So do not lose it. Okay? Your culture is who you are, so do not lose it. Then we're going to look at some of the struggles that the children face. Coming to America, again, we have a social language. It's Patois. Patois is not a language in America. They're just now embracing it and is allowing the children who are from the Caribbean to be enrolled, to be tested and get enrolled into the English language learners program. So the kid will get tested. They will be given a small assessment, and then from that they will decide if they will benefit from this new program. Years ago, they had what they call New Arrivals program. And the New Arrivals program would take them, and a teacher from that part of the Caribbean or some part in the Caribbean would be the person in charge to help them understand how to say the words in this new culture, how to say the words correctly, help them develop some knowledge that will help them to do well as they adapt and as they assimilate into this new school system. So we think that phonics is a good thing. Of course it's a good thing. But phonics is only good for sounding out. It cannot help the students to understand or to connect to what is read. So they could know every word there is. But if they don't know how to connect to show that they understand what they're reading, it's of no use. So we look at culture, we're going to look now at vocabulary. So I talk about phonics, and yes, phonics helps with vocabulary, right? Builds a good vocabulary, but you have to understand what they mean. When we have to know what they mean, we also have to understand that we have an accent. Coming from the Caribbean, we might say, we look at mobile, and we might say the word is mobile, because we're looking at phonics, we're sounding out what we see. But in America, the same word, the same spelling, nothing is different, is mobile. In the Caribbean, we look at words that end with cali, basically, physically, right? Musically. And then if you say that to someone in the American school system, they look at you a little funny. Oftentimes they'll tell you, I don't understand what you're saying. But in your mind you're saying, but I'm saying the word correctly. But the difference is that in America, in the school system, they shorten words. So a word like basically becomes basically. A word like physically becomes physically. So who is incorrect here? So a lot of kids come and they become afraid to say things because when they say it, it doesn't sound the same way. People misinterpret it. So it's a little hard for them. They will spell, when it comes to spelling, they might say neighbor, Neighbour. In America, they drop that U. They think that the U is not necessary. So neighbor becomes Neighbor. Color, in Jamaica, you'll say, let me not just be specific to Jamaica, but in the Caribbean, you would say Colour for color. In America, that U is gone. Color. Now, if you're taking a spelling test and a teacher doesn't understand where you're coming from, doesn't understand the Queen's English, because that's what we learn in the Caribbean, then you're going to get many words, you will get a wrong for it. But really, it is correct. So somebody from the Caribbean would be able to check that correctly and kind of guide you as to how it's different here. But a teacher who does not understand will mark it incorrect. So these are some of the things that we have to learn as we become assimilated into the new culture, into the new school system. We have to do our research. We have to connect with educators who are from the island so they can guide you so that you can be successful. You're coming to this culture and you know so much. When I take the time out to meet with my children and to just evaluate them where they are, I am so impressed. But then you'll hear from other teachers, oh my goodness, what's going on with him? What's going on with her? She doesn't even understand what's going on. And so it hurts me deeply. And we cannot blame the teachers to say, oh, they need to take time out to teach my kid or to understand. As parents, bringing children into a new system of schools, we have to also do our part. We have to make sure that we do our research so that when you bring these children here, they're not lost. they don't clam up because they become so afraid, because they think that everything they do is so wrong. They're smart kids, they know so much, but it's just that in this culture, in this school system, things are a little different. So then we go on to, from the vocabulary, we're going to go to the reading comprehension. Reading comprehension. Reading comprehension means that when you read a selection, you have to answer questions, and those answers you give determine if you understood what you read. But look at some of the problems we face. A lot of the children are reading some of the information in the text. They can read the words. Of course they can read the words. They're smart kids. But they have no background knowledge. They have no experiences to connect them to the text that they're reading. If they're reading something about snow and they've never experienced snow, how are they going to be able to answer the questions correctly? If they're reading, I remember one child talking about a comforter. As a kid went to bed, her mom covered her with her comforter. In the Caribbean, we talk about a comforter as our king, as Jesus. That's how we talk about comforter. But in this American school system, a comforter is like a blanket. It's something to keep you warm in the winter time. So, a child is being assessed, and there are terms in that passage they just read. And if they have no clue, you see them guessing. You see sometimes when I am able to look at the work that they do, and I'm looking at the answer that they give, and in this system, and from my experiences, I know that the answer could not even connect. It's not even close. But that poor child who doesn't know anything, who doesn't understand, is going to, for them, it's just let me pick something. So again, we're bringing the kids, help them to read, help them to be open, not just to books on the Caribbean, but to books universal, so that they're getting exposed to the culture that is out there. So when migration comes, when it's time for us, we get that opportunity to leave and to come and work and try to excel in another way. Please make sure that the children are knowledgeable in some way, so that so many of them are not considered low or slower than the others. When we look at mathematics, though, let's know that with math, 2 plus 2 is always going to be 4. That's universal. So whether it's London, England, or Kingston, Jamaica, or Trelawney, Jamaica, or Guyana, or Haiti, doesn't matter where in the world, Timbuktu in Ethiopia, we understand the language of math because the numbers, the values are going to be the same. So when kids come to the new school system here, they will do well with math. If they had that foundation, which most of them really do, because in Jamaica we are learning our timetables from basic school, as we call it. So when we get here, it's very seldom that I see a child who comes from the islands or from the Caribbean and they struggle when it comes to timetables. They might struggle with some content, yes, but when it comes to timetables, they are clicking, they got it. And many of the other concepts that they have to learn, they catch on easily, because as I said, the numbers are the numbers wherever you go. But what we have to encourage our children with is the reading. We have to make sure that they're stronger with the comprehension. We have to make sure that they understand that when they come, the terms sometimes are different, the meaning for some things. We'll have a child who will say, Miss, I want to go to the toilet. And for some teachers, it's puzzling. For me, as an educator from the islands, I understand what they will need. And I will give them permission, but I also have to encourage them and guide them. And so that when they're not in my presence, they know to ask to go to use the bathroom. Another thing, I remember one child years ago, he needed an eraser, but he didn't call it an eraser. Because in Jamaica, we don't say, may I get an eraser, please? We ask for a rubber. That's what we do, because what we need is to rub something out. But then when you come to America, it is an eraser. And so this young man, he asked the teacher for a rubber, and a rubber is considered to be a condom or whatever. And it became a big powwow because this kid was inappropriate. He was asking the teacher for a rubber. And so we have to understand again, and if we're planning to move from our comfort zones or from the areas that we were born and raised in, with the way we say words, understand that this great American school system say things a little bit differently, spell things differently. So we have to adjust. We have to adapt. We have to learn. We have to listen. We have to do much more than we're doing so that when we get here, we are not falling short, or people are not looking at us as if we are not educated. We have to find people in the school who understands our culture and create a relationship. We have to remember that their norms, some of them are different. When we speak, or when someone speaks to us, or speak to a child from the Caribbean, or even from Africa, I think, from even in the Asian culture, we have a tendency to hold our heads down because that's how we were trained. We were taught to not look an adult in the eye. When they speak to us, we should be pensive. We should hold our heads down. But in America, you have to look the person in the eye, and so that they're not thinking that you are dismissing them or that you are not hearing what they're saying. They will think you are disrespectful when you do that. Another thing is when you come to this system, as you assimilate into this system, you have to remember that you cannot call a teacher miss, miss, miss. You don't do that. Teachers do not appreciate that. Over the years that I've been teaching, teachers express that. And sometimes they get so frustrated because the child is just calling them miss, 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 instead of learning their names. So that's something you have to remember, that you need to learn teachers' names. You have to speak to the teacher, Miss Brown or Miss Slowinski, or the names might be funny and it's hard for you, it's new, but you have to practice. You have to learn their names. So as you address them, you're addressing them by their names. Again, we have accents. I've been told, I remember when I came here in New York, my first job, I went for the interview. I had my switchboard certificate, and the lady came and she says, oh, the interview went so well, but I'm sorry, you have an accent, and I can just imagine a call comes in for one of my workers and they wouldn't be able to understand you when you need to relay that information to them. And I was so puzzled. But back then in the 80s, I didn't know what actions to take. I just says, okay, thank you, and I left. But then I went to college and I became a teacher. And many times, even as a teacher, you'll hear people say, oh, I didn't even hear what she says. Oh, I didn't understand what she says. Because we talk a little faster than others, right? We talk a little faster. So don't feel bad if somebody says, I don't understand you. All you have to do is to speak slowly so that they can understand what you are saying. So we'll speak slowly. We use people's name. We're going to the bathroom, not to the toilet. And it's a laugh out loud for me because bathroom, there are no showers in there. So we're not taking a bath in there. But anyhow, just don't worry about that part. Just know that they will expect you to ask to go to the bathroom or the restroom. You need a drink. Don't say you want to go to the pipe. You're going to the water fountain. You need an eraser. You need something to erase work from your book. Ask for an eraser. Don't say I need a rubber, because to them a rubber is considered to be something else. Do not forget your manners. Do not, please do not forget your manners. So many children come here and they look at the other children who were born and raised here, and they feel like they should give up all of the great things that they were taught and to become somebody who they are not. Don't give up your manners. Continue to show good manners. Continue to say good morning. Continue to say please and thank you, because those are beautiful things. They are beautiful words. And when you practice them, a teacher becomes warmer to you, and a teacher is always going to be willing to do something for you. One thing when we come, a lot of children, when they come, especially the older children, and they want to become buddies with other boys, especially the boys, the first thing that the children in this school system will want to know about is the bad words that they use in Jamaica, in the Caribbean. That's the first thing they latch onto. And we think it's funny. Our young men think it's funny to start chipping off these words that we know. It's not appropriate. They're not words we use every day. They're not words we use to our parents or to adults. We know that we should not do it, but quite often we have them coming, and what they're doing, they want to be friends with these other children, so they tell them all these bad words. I have had kids who during class would say to me, Mrs. Simon Black, what does this word mean? And there are times I ignore them, and sometimes I have to stop and just educate them, as to why it's not necessary to even say those things. So let us not forget that we should not come and lose our culture. We should not come and lose the things that we have worked hard to achieve. We should not come in and forget who we are and what we have worked for. But let us, as we assimilate into this new system of schools and into this big, brand new culture, there's so much to learn. There's so much to gain. Let us jump out there and work hard and gain as much as we can gain, so that we can be successful, so that we can go back home and continue to build, or we can go elsewhere and build, or we could continue to build right here where we are. Families might change when you come. Mom might have left years ago, and by the time she got you here, she might have another sibling that you have to now get used to. It's okay. Dad might have come and start a new family, and so you come into this new family. But as you assimilate, make sure that you're holding your family, making the adjustments well, and you are keeping family dear to you, because At the end of the day, when things fall apart, you need your family. So don't come and become angry and frustrated and not try to grasp the great things that are available for you. Make the adjustments. Make the adjustments. Be respectful. Be understanding. You might feel a little lost. It's okay, you're not alone. But as you assimilate, understand that changes will come, but success will depend on what you did with those changes. So, again, assimilation, change is good. Assimilation is not easy, but you can do it, because many came and have done it. Many have been successful. Some fall by the way, maybe because they didn't reach out enough to get the support they need. But from one educator to all those of you who are planning to migrate and to bring your children to this new land of opportunity, please remember that there is a whole lot that will need to be done in order for it to be a success. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Leave your comments. If this has been helpful to you, please let me know. And just remember, one of the mottos that we learn as children in Jamaica: it can be done. One love.